Hi. So this is a start of the COVID-19 quarantine training. I'm going to demonstrate the strikes with our standard Kali stick, but I'm also going to do so with an ink pen and a towel and another stick-like object, just so you can drive home the point that you can train these angles with anything you have around you. Okay. First of all, whenever you're getting started, you want to have the proper grip. You want to roll in from your fingertips. And if you have a 30-inch stick, you want to have one fist from the end. You want to have your fist up that far, okay? Better balance on the weapon. Your stance, you're facing forward, and your feet are going to be 45 degrees in relation to this line, okay? Your feet width are going to be your hip width. So if you jump up and down like this, wherever your feet land, that's how wide your feet should be, okay? And then as far as your stance width this way, it's going to be your normal walking gait, okay? So don't step so far that you're off balance. It's your normal walking gait. Here we are, right? So now we're going to go over the forehand strike. If this is a fluid strike, that means you're striking through to the other shoulder. So your knees are bent and my torso is facing forward, and now as I strike, I'm striking through the target. I go all the way through the other shoulder. Now my torso is closed. It's facing a little bit more this way. As I strike a 2 or a backhand fluid strike, my hips are opening the other way, and all these motions start with the hips, okay? My body weight's coming down, my hips are opening, and this is a chain reaction. It starts here, goes into my torso, then my shoulder's pulling the weapon back to the other side. Okay, one more time. So we'll do forehand fluid, and then backhand fluid. Forehand, backhand. So you notice my tip of my weapon is going straight to the target. So what's making that happen is my fist is going straight down to make sure that tip goes straight to where I want it to go. This helps very much if you picture an X on the wall straight in front of you, and you're cutting along those lines of the X. It can also help if you picture a body part in your vision, especially for your ones. If you see your elbow, aim with your elbow, and then aim with the end of your weapon, and then deliver the strike. Okay? See the pommel or the end of your weapon, deliver. Okay, so we'll do ones and twos for just a little longer. So when I say ones and twos, I'm meaning forehand and backhand strike. I hope you guys remember your geometry, because I'm actually talking about the Cartesian plane, the quadrants, okay? Whenever you're striking from your right side high, that's going to be an angle 1 or forehand. From the left high is going to be an angle 2. Okay, so now let's go over 3 and 4. So 3 and 4, the 3 is in this quadrant here. The 3 is a forehand uppercut. Okay, so I'll show that one more time. This drops off my shoulder, and I'm pulling it through the target, and it looks like a boxer uppercut. Okay, this comes off, and I'm pulling it through. Now a backhand uppercut. As my body's turning, my body weight's coming up this time. uppercut. Through the body, through their body. So just like you're picturing the X for the 1 and 2, now you're still striking through those 2 X lines, okay? You're striking from the bottom. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4 striking lines, okay? Striking angles. So now my torso's closing, my hips are moving, my body weight's coming down with a forehand strike, 1. My opening back the other way with the 2, my backhand fluid strike, and now my forehand uppercut and my backhand uppercut. Body weight's coming up. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So you notice my hand's moving this whole time. So what this is like I'm clearing my hand, because really when you're having power, you can swing all the way through if you clear the traffic, what's in the way, okay? This is also indexing, like you're seeing where your weapons are, where your other weapons are, okay? So, bring this down, I feel my other weapon. When the 2 comes, I'm open right here. I don't have anything between me and my opponent, so my hand comes back up, okay? So try this part isolated for a little while. Swing 1 on my waist, 2 on my chest, 1 waist, 2 chest, 1 waist, 2 chest. Now practice that for 3 and 4. 3 waist, 4 chest, 3 waist, 4 chest, 3 waist, 4 chest. Okay? 3 waist, 4 chest. So anytime you're on your waist, you have a chance to draw something. You're feeling where it is. Okay? So those are your basic fluid strikes. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to show what that looks real quick if you're using a different object, just for a moment. So suppose you have less space. I don't have a ton of space right here. Maybe you have even less than I do, and you're not going to swing the stick if you don't have any room. Especially when we start moving. Maybe this is not feasible for where you are during the quarantine situation. Okay, so shorter object. The only thing that changes is you're dropping it less, just like in the other video we're talking about. So now when I do my forehand, I'm dropping it just as much as I need for that tip to go to my target. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Suppose you're using an ink pen, you can still practice these angles with an ink pen. So go straight to the target, the tip. 2, 3, 4. Forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand. Okay? And then, maybe there's a window right next to you. Go ahead and use a towel. Okay? This is still very beneficial to use, even if you have the Kali stick, especially if you're just starting out, because it's very good to go slow and make sure you have the proper angle. That's very good to do. But what you also want to make sure is that you are not swinging this way and then canceling it out with your wrist. That's very bad. If you have a real weapon weight object, you can't move it like it's a soda straw. It's gonna hurt your wrist and you're gonna disarm yourself. Okay, it's very unrealistic. You want to make sure that when you swing, you don't cancel it early. You get full rotation in your shoulder. Okay, So that's what this helps with. Swing all the way through. All the way through. 2, 1, 2. I'll go ahead and do 3 and 4. 3, 4. So if I don't follow through all the way, if say on my 2, I try to pull it back with my wrist prematurely, it's going to look like this. 2, it's going to look like that. It's going to tell you right away, okay? So that's why this is kind of helpful, especially since I'm not necessarily with you to correct everything. Okay, so you notice that'll happen, don't worry about that. When your hand drops, this is following it. It doesn't matter if you have a flail or something like that or a stick. Your hand movement's going to act the same, okay? So now we'll go into our sidestepping. So before we were stationary because we're focusing on body mechanics of like hips and starting from the ground, moving your gravity, like driving it in. So now we're going to focus on opening our hips, okay? So I'll have start for the guard for now. And from this point, I'm simply opening my hips, meaning I'm not stepping here. I'm not making a commitment to this position. I'm simply opening my hips. So what that means is I shouldn't have a ton of weight on this foot, okay? So I'm on the side of my pinky toe, and my hips are still straight, okay? So if you're doing this at home and you go like that, you're crossing your feet, huge no-no, don't do that. I'm facing forward right here, and then when my hips opens, it's going to face 45 degrees from this point, okay? So, and my torso is also facing that direction. So now with my right foot, I'm facing my right side. Left, right, left, right, left, right. Okay? So when you do this, try to have a straight line from the top of your head to the ground. Careful not to, don't be too far away from where you're trying to sidestep. You're going to end up throwing off your center, okay? Careful of that. Now let's add shuffling. So just like when I was striking, my hand was here or right here. And this is counterbalance, okay? This is a little bit like tactical walking. When my left foot sidesteps, my right is coming up and my left comes down, okay? It's just regular counterbalancing. I'm feeling where my weapons are on each hip as I move. And I'm turning 45 degrees. I'm facing where my foot's facing, okay? My whole body. And I'm keeping my knees bent so I don't change levels while I'm moving. Very hard to aim if you're doing that, okay? Okay. Now let's strike while sidestepping, okay? So I'm going to use this object for that this time. Let's start with 1s and 2s, then we'll add 3 and 4 after that. So as I open my hips, I'm timing my foot landing with my object hitting the target and following through, okay? So when my foot lands with the sidestep, I'm hitting the target, following through. Hitting the target, following through. Fluid to the other shoulder, okay? Become familiarized with that syntax. When I say fluid, I'm striking through the target to my other shoulder, okay? All right, so now 3s and 4s. Okay, so we'll add all 4 strikes together. So 3 coming up, 4 coming up. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So do this as slow as you need. Actually, it's very good practice to go slow. It's very difficult to go slow. It's harder to go slow than fast. You go 1, still timing it with your foot landing. You go slow, slow, slow. All right. So, like, of course, when people start, often when somebody's swinging, they're missing track. They're losing track of their target in front of them. Sometimes when they're doing the 1 strike and they step, they end up aiming over here. Be careful. Make sure you're focusing on a spot directly in front of you that you intend to aim. Okay. That's very important for developing accuracy. Okay, so that was sidestepping with striking, our basic fluids. Now let's do our triangle footwork. So triangle footwork, somebody is aiming for you on this point, okay? If someone's aiming for you, the safest place you can be is behind the angle. You hope to enter behind their angle to get their flank. It's the easiest way, you're safest, because you're getting their back and you can counter. So let's start with just a guard. And see this triangle here? We're following this, all right? So we're going to this direction, going to the left. I'm pushing off with my right foot. And your goal should be to end up in a solid stance at the point that you reach from your initial position, okay? So coming back, now this way. Push off with this foot. When I get here, I'm in a stable stance. I'm not too narrow. I'm comfortable. Well, again, pushing off. Now this leg pushes me this way. Stable, okay? Couple more times. Retreat. Push off. And I'm in a stance. Okay, so now grab a shorter object. I'm not swinging a full Kali stick on here. This is not a very wide balcony. I'm gonna swing this. So when I'm coming out this way, I'm doing something called reverse lead. So that means I'm stepping through with my opposite foot in coordination with my opposite hand, okay? And I'm stepping beyond my target and I'm pulling my force multiplier through the target, okay? So I'm going out here and swinging through the target, and then as I come back, now I'm on the same side. So what this does is now I have more range. My weapon is between me and my opponent. Okay? So now this is weapon lead. It's on the same side of my body. swinging my backhand 2. As my foot comes back, I don't waste that. I'm swinging again. 1, and then I launch myself out this way. Now swinging a 2. My backhand with my right foot. Okay? As I leave, see now this is weapon lead again. This is on the same side as my front foot. 1, forehand. As this foot comes back, I strike again, and then I take off this way. 1. That'll happen. So that's why I'm using a shorter object. Coming back, backhand, forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand, forehand. So if I had more space, perhaps I'd be moving a little bit more. I just want to simulate some of the conditions you guys are actually experiencing in quarantine, okay? So we're still stepping along the V. If you have more space, we might move a little bit more. Okay, so, right, you're stepping out, you're swinging through the target, and you're in a solid base, and then you're coming back out, and you're swinging to give you clearance to retreat, and then as you bring this leg in, that's another swing, and then you take off this way. Swinging backhand. Come back with the 1, forehand. Swing as this foot comes back, and then backhand, forehand. Okay. Let's do this with a towel now. Because if I hit the window, it's fine. Okay? No worries. That's one strength of this. You know? So come in with a 1, forehand. Come back, backhand. As my foot comes back in to push me off this way, swing 1, and then as I launch out, swing a backhand. Return, forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand. There you go. So the amount of reps that I'm showing in these short live streams is by no means the total amount of reps you need. Do a lot more reps. Get used to it. Get comfortable with your body moving this way. Okay. The simple things buy you the more advanced techniques and concepts. Okay. Just get comfortable with how your body moves. All right. Next. Now, you know, our opponent was here and he was swinging at us on this X here. We were getting off of the X. Now, you're gonna practice. When you get off the X, face your opponent. So I got off the X, was facing this way, moving offline. Now, I'm gonna turn to face him. Other side. So I'm pushing off this way, and now I'm turning that way. And I'm leaving, okay? So now this foot takes me off this way. I turn, and then I come back out. None of this is so complicated. I'm still moving to that direction with the closest leg. If you don't use the leg closest to that side, you're going to give your back. You don't usually want to do that. Very rare circumstances, generally not giving your back. So step out, face your target, come back. Moving out, face your target, move back. Now let's swing with that, huh? So I'm coming in with the forehand. One. And as a turn, I do a backhand. Then I'll come back, do forehand. Come in this way. Backhand. Turn, forehand. Exit, backhand. Coming in forehand. Turn, backhand. Exit, forehand. Enter, backhand. Turn, forehand. Exit, backhand. Enter, forehand. Turn, backhand. Exit, forehand. Okay? So, when we were doing this hip opening before, this is just facing your body in the direction that you want to strike. Okay? So, when you come out this way and you do this part, think of that as being the same as what we were doing before when you did this. It's the same. So your hips are a tank turret. They're pointing the destruction. Okay? Wherever your feet point is where the swing's gonna go. Just think about it like that way. Okay, so let's try entering in with 3s and 4s now, huh? So remember, like when the 3s and 4s, when the forehand and backhand uppercuts come in, this is your forward sight, the butt of your weapon. You're seeing that first, and that lets you understand where the rest of the object's going to go, okay? That's your forward sight. Just keep that in mind. 3s and 4s are a little bit challenging for people at first. So now we're entering, and so before we were doing a 1 as we come in, now we're doing a 3. We're doing a forehand uppercut. So as I come in, I'm doing 3. As I turn, I'm going to do a backhand uppercut, or a 4. When I return, I'm going to do a 3. Come in with the backhand uppercut. Turn, forehand. Exit, backhand. Enter, forehand. Turn, backhand. Exit, forehand. Backhand. Forehand. Backhand. Okay? Try that out, get used to it. Yeah, it's like none of these lessons are going to replace training with a partner and with a certified trainer that give you instant feedback, but all of these rudiments will cut down greatly your learning curve. These basic things can help you improve very, very quickly if you train them on your own. So we're really making the best of not being able to leave through these lessons. All right, so we went over our fluid strikes, and I showed you some timing drills where you can be stationary first, and you can close your hips and open your hips. You can drive your weight down, down. You drive your weight up, up. And then we worked on opening our hips through the sidestepping, through those angles. And then we talked about getting to the enemy's flank and moving behind his angles through with our fluids. Okay? So those are the aspects we covered in this first lesson. I'm gonna keep putting out lessons pretty quickly, and I hope you guys participate and enjoy it. If you have fun, consider checking out our dojo's website, kalihimatsukana.com. Primary gym is in Yokohama, but if you email me, I can let you know if there's a trainer in your area for the art that we do. We do Bikini Tirsha International System.